What's up YouTube, Crispy Charizard here. So, today's video will be about the 6 abilities that I find are the worst. I went through every ability that exists so far, and I seem to have found I tried to find as many as I could that are just completely useless. Worst abilities ever. There are a lot of abilities that are very poor, but I did not include those because even though they are not always useful, you could say that they are situationally useful. So, for the abilities that are only useful in rare instances or in rare situations, I gave those a pass because you can't call them completely useless if they have a use in some rare situations. I also dislike abilities that are not useful in single battles. So, for example, an ability like plus or minus has an effect only if you're in a double or triple battle or some sort of other multi-battle situation. Plus and minus, and some other abilities are completely useless in single battles. But I didn't include them because, again, if you're in a double battle, they may have a use, although it's very unlikely. I may make a video listing all the situational abilities, or like the abilities that are very, rarely useful. But this video is the 6 abilities that I found are useless, like 99-100% of the time. In fact, they should be 100% useless. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. I tried to do my research, but there is no use for these abilities. So, first ability is Defeatist. Halves the Pokemon attack and special attack stats when its HP becomes half or less. Basically, the Pokemon's attack and special attack is halved when its hit points are below 50% of maximum. And it can only be, this ability is only for Archon and Archeops. Now, I don't know why you would want this ability, but unfortunately, it exists. It's a shame, but it exists. So, if you're an Archeops, and you have this ability, you're just gonna get your attack and special attack cut in half if your HP goes below half. I don't see the point of this. Is there some rare instance where this is useful? Why would this be useful? I mean, if I go to Archeops page, we see that it's its only ability, and that goes for Archon as well. Defeatist is the signature ability of these two Pokemon, and if it weren't for this ability, these two Pokemon would be kind of cool. But no wonder that Caracosta and Tortuga are more preferred fossils from Unova. It's because they don't suck when it comes to this ability. Their abilities, I mean. But these Pokemon, man, they're not bad themselves when it comes to other things, but this ability is the worst, or one of the worst. I mean, I'm trying to think of rare situations where you want your attack and special attack halved. And there are some rare instances for other situations, other Pokemon, where you would want your attack and special attack half, but no, it's too complicated. This isn't contrary. This isn't like, I don't know, why would you want this? I mean, this would be broken if it was the other way around, if their attack and special attack were doubled when it's in a pinch, because what would you call that? That would be called, like, I don't know, hardiness. You would call that, like, just, some sort of, I don't know. But if a Pokemon got stronger when it's in a pinch, well, then that means it has a very strong willpower. I would call that ability willpower or something like that. But no, you get your attack and special attack cut in half. So that's why this ability made my list. It is unconditionally useless, in my opinion. The next ability is Honey Gather. Now, I have to warn you that while there is a long list of abilities that have overworld effects, I did not include every one of them because lots of abilities have a battle effect and an overworld effect. And some overworld effects are better than others, but when it comes to Honey Gather, well, I mean, look for yourself. The Pokemon may gather honey after a battle. So while it depends on battling to work, because it won't gather honey on its own, it only has a chance to gather honey after a battle. May pick up honey after battle. The higher the level, the higher the chance. It's only learned by Combee, Cutiefly, Ribombee, and it's the hidden ability of Teddiursa. Now, in battle itself, this ability is useless. It doesn't do anything. The only use it has is it gives you the chance to get the item honey but only after you battle, and it's not even a 100% chance. Now, honey is not even an important item or anything like that. So, again, in battle, this is obviously a useless ability. If Honey Gather had some sort of ability in battle, as well as this overworld ability that gives you honey after battle sometimes, then it would have a use. But yeah, Honey Gather is obviously completely useless battle-wise. I have to make it clear. This list is for abilities useless in battle. If you're an enthusiast who loves to gather honey, well then this ability is for you. But when it comes to battling, it's just useless. Next on the list is Illuminate. Illuminate is probably the worst out of this entire list. Or maybe not. Actually, some abilities on this list give you a complete disadvantage, like Defeatist, for example. Defeatist, it cuts your attack and special attack in half, with no advantage. Illuminate, however, while it has no battle advantage whatsoever, like Honey Gather, it doesn't give you a disadvantage either. Like Honey Gather, again, well, you could argue that Defeatist is worse because it gives you a disadvantage, while Honey Gather and Illuminate are neutral, which is still bad, because it gives you no advantage or a disadvantage. It's just an overworld effect and nothing else, just like Honey Gather. So, for Illuminate, it raises the likelihood of meeting wild Pokemon by illuminating the surroundings. If the Pokemon is in the lead spot, the chance of encountering a wild Pokemon increases to 200%. So basically, if your Pokemon has Illuminate and it's in the first spot of your party, well then it's basically the reverse of using a Repel. It's going to illuminate the grass, and you're going to increase Pokemon twice as much. Or maybe 3 times as much. No, twice as much, yeah. So you're going to increase Pokemon twice as much. It can be known by Staryu, Starmie, Chinchou, Lantern, Volbeat, Watchog, Morlul, and Shiinotic. And I feel really sorry for Pokemon with Illuminate because, sure, if you want the inverse of Repel and you just want to increase your likelihood of meeting Pokemon, sure, you can use this. But in battle, no effect, no advantage, and thankfully no disadvantage, so it's neutral, but still, Illuminate definitely makes this list because it is useless in battle. The fourth ability on this list is, of course, Slow Start. Slow Start. For 5 turns, the Pokemon's attack and speed are halved. Attack and speed is half during the first 5 turns since send out. If you switch it out, the counter resets. It doesn't go from where you left it off. It completely resets, which means you have to wait another 5 turns. And unfortunately, if the slow start ends and its attack and speed go back to normal, I'm afraid that switching it out and then bringing it back in may restart it again, but that's something I'm not clear about. It can only be known by Regigigas. It is its signature ability. The main reason for this is because Regigigas is a legendary Pokemon who is pretty strong, and they seem to want it to be, I don't know. It's a gimmick. See, it's an ancient golem. It's a gimmick to make it weaker, but it has no advantage whatsoever, and it takes a long time to wait. Good thing it's bulky, but it takes a long time to wait 5 turns for this slow start to end. So, yeah, it is one of the worst abilities with no advantage whatsoever. The 5th ability on this list is Stall. It can only be known by Sableye, and it basically makes you move last every turn. Every turn you move last. You're always the slowest. I mean, there's some situations where that doesn't count because of priority and everything at all, but, after priority is calculated, then you move last. So, yeah. I don't see the advantage in this. Maybe there's some strategies where you want this. I tried looking for them. I can't find any. I'm not an expert, but yeah. There's no advantage for this. This is one of the worst abilities ever. I'm sorry to say. At least Sableye has other good stuff. And finally, the 6th ability, which I find is useless, is Truant. The Pokemon cannot use a move every other turn. Or rather, if it uses a move one turn, well then the next turn it can't do anything. It is completely, just frozen, Truant. Even if a move failed, it cannot use a move the next turn, and it is only known by Slackoth, Slacking, and Durant. Now, for Slacking, I understand it's a sort of a buffer because it's extremely strong. Slacking has one of the highest attacks for non-megas or non-legendaries. Yeah, I think, in fact, it may be number 1 attack for non-megas and non-legendaries. But as for Durant and its pre-evolution Slackoth, I don't care. This ability is unfortunate, and it seems to serve as a sort of balance for overpowered Pokemon, just like Slow Start. And while there is a strategy where if you have Slacking, use Hyper Beam, or more preferably Giga Impact, the turn that Giga Impact requires you to recharge is the turn that Truant doesn't let you do anything, so you don't lose much. So it's a good strategy to have Slacking use Giga Impact the turn you're allowed to use it, and then just recharge the turn you're not allowed to use it. But other than that, it's not really an advantage, it's just some sort of loophole. So Giga Impact is more of a loophole, not really a strategy, so yeah, using Truant is unfortunate, just like all the other abilities. That is it for this list of 6 useless abilities, and I hope you all agree that these abilities would be better off not existing. Of course, I know that it makes Pokemon more interesting, but they're not that fun. And I really wish I could come up with better abilities for these Pokemon in place of these useless abilities. In fact, I could even creatively come up with ways that each of these abilities could stay the same with some changes so that along with their disadvantages, there's also an advantage, because I know a bunch of abilities that offer an advantage and a disadvantage at a price. For example, Hustle. Hustle boosts your attack but lowers your accuracy, so it's an advantage at a price. See, that's a compromise. While most of these abilities, Truant, Stall, Slow Start, Illuminate, Honey Gather, Defeatist, they're either neutrally useless or completely disadvantageous. And that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. Please like and subscribe, and share with a friend, and comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time.